Welcome everybody to LSRTV for the final coverage of the round of 16. We go from our top 16 drivers in playoffs down to 10 here at Twin Ring Motegi. This is going to be an interesting race to see, as this is a course that a lot of drivers actually had never ran before. And for us in the booth, this is also going to be a fun time for us to see how these drivers attack this oval course. My name is Sam Dyer, and with me is going to be that of David Polins, as well as Charles Wooten, going to be in the production chair. And David, it is a giant unknown on how tonight's going to go.
Definitely a giant unknown. I'm definitely interested to see who comes out on top here and exactly how this race pans out. Is this something you'd never really see the Cup cars on anymore? We've seen it years and years ago, the famous Coca-Cola cars with both the Earnhardt and Earnhardt Jr. Running together on this racetrack was something to see for the first time. But, interested to see what these guys can do on it.
Yeah, it has been such a long time since the real life drivers have hit this course on the virtual end. It's a rarity to see some leagues even attempt to try to run this course on ovals. I know for a lot of indie leagues, they like to come here at Twin Ring Motegi and attack this course, but for the Cup guys, it's going to be something slightly different. As for this course, it's a very interesting layout just because it's similar to what Gateway and also what that of Darlington are kind of like, where the two ends of the courses are different, with turns 1 and 2 being a little bit of a wider entry and wider corners for them to go through, and then 3 and 4 is a little bit of a narrow course for these drivers. But like I said, tonight we're going down from round to 10, and the field not very big for here tonight, so we're starting to see drivers already locking themselves into the next round. Our top 4 will actually be locked in, as right now Holden McGill, once he starts the green, he is locked in for that team, as well as Joseph, Logan Hamilton, and that of Merrick Watchhorn. Those drivers are automatically locked into the next round just based on how many points they had differing everyone else. This playoff system, 4 races each round, and it is not a win and you get into the next round. It's all about that consistency. But the interesting part to look at, the longer we go down this field, you've got that of Grant Peterson, who's going to be 43 points to the good coming into this race in 5th in points. 6th in points is Colin Stone, 39 points to the good. In 7th in points, you've got that of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who's 32 points to the good. Then you've got Jeremy Berger, 8th in points, 25 points to the good. Sean Deals in 9th, he is 19 points to the good. But the driver that we're watching out for, that's going to be Stefan Purcell. He is only 1 point to the good, 10th place in points. He's got 3 other drivers behind him that are 9 points away from getting in there. That's going to be Robert Pattengale, who's 1 point out. Then you've got that of Brett Fisher, who's 5 points out, and Kevin Franks, 9 points out from the good. All the other drivers of Frank Flores, he is going to be 26 points out from making it into the playoffs. That's going to be a lot of work for they're not eligible to be moving on. That's going to be Anthony Musanti, as well as that of Barrick Uphold. But David, it is a very close battle to see who's going to be making it into that 10th and final spot into the playoffs, but there's stage points that also can be gained. 2 stage points attempts. That is a lot of points that can be grabbed before the end of tonight's race.
Now, only being 1 point in, I would definitely be worried for Stefan Purcell there. That's a real tough bargain to run here, coming to a track you've never been to. What I'm interested in right now is how there's some guys out here have ran already 50 laps, and that's Merrick Watchhorn and Holden McGill. They've been out here trying to get as much seat time as possible. Stefan Purcell's got himself 33 laps, and he's actually sitting in the 9th position right now in practice. So he's right on the edge of that, that bubble there.
Yeah, and looking at the drivers that we have that are in the playoffs trying to move on, one driver I'm not seeing on our list of drivers in the lobby, that's Grant Peterson, who's only 43 points to the good. So that's another position that could be grabbed by one of the drivers outside of our top 10. But it has been a long first round for these drivers. Our top 16 started this playoffs off at Watkins Glen, where Holden McGill, a little bit of strategy, came up and won at that course. Then Talladega came across and a non-playoff driver won, that of Nate Brooker. And then 2 weeks ago, for our 3rd race of this round, it was Joseph surviving at North Wilkesboro for 200 laps. And then finishing off this round is Twin Ring Motegi. So 4 very different, distinctive courses as drivers' practice has come to a close. Qualifying is now going to start. 5 minutes of qualifying. The drivers have two laps to try to put down their best lap time. But David, I mean, for a playoff strategy like this L-TAC certainly has put on a different strategy for most leagues with how different this first round super speedway short track racing, and here a 1.5 mile course that none of these drivers have really even touched.
Oh, absolutely. It's all going to come down to tonight. There's no doubt these guys are all very good race car drivers, but if you don't have the seat time to get it done, as we see right now out there in a 97 machine, Jeremy Berger, we'll be interested to see what lap times these guys can lay down here.
Yeah, and for Jeremy Berger, he's one of those drivers that's 8th in points, but still feeling pretty comfortable for himself with 25 points to the good. Really, all that he needs to do is possibly get a couple of stage points here or there. Again, those stage laps is actually when our stage cautions will come out, and our top 10 runners will get points, and it's looking like we only have about 17 drivers lined up. So you're doing a great job, but then realize the guy that you're chasing is right next to you, so you're not gaining that much overall.
No doubt. As Jeremy Berger, he just lays 36,895. Or sorry, 896. He seems to be running the bottom of this racetrack. I'm curious, really, the lines, because it's such a wide groove. Maybe we'll see some guys up by the wall here late in the race, kind of maybe, you know, like Homestead a little bit. We'll just have to wait and find out.
Yeah, and these drivers were trying to understand how to attack this course, and we were being told by a lot of the officials looking over that race that a lot of the drivers were kind of getting a little overzealous, kind of getting a little too aggressive, where they were burning off their tires so quick that they just couldn't run up with the front pack after just 5 to 10 laps. We'll see if the drivers have learned from that, but points certainly can be grabbed here. The pole position, it's only 1 point, but that 1 point, Stephen Purcell, he would hope to get another point for himself, but right now it's going to be that of Merrick Watchhorn on top of the board, as we're seeing Watchhorn come and finish off his times, but he's on top of the board with a 36.630, about 6 thousandths faster than that. Looking at some of these other drivers, it's looking like Watchhorn might be our favorite driver up front. Based off of practice, Watchhorn was up front as well as Holden McGill and Logan Hamilton was our top 3 during practice. Qualifying, slightly different story. As a driver that was actually in the middle of the pack during practice has moved up into our top 3. David, it's a track that both you and I really don't know that well, so it's going to be a fun time for us to really see these guys attack this course. But what is something that you're most excited for this 134 lap race?
Well, yeah, we're definitely going to be learning along the way with these guys, as we haven't had any seat time here either. So I'm curious about the 2 different ends of the racetrack. You know, coming off of 2 at Darlington was always real interesting, how tight you get coming up off, and then 3 and 4 you really can hold it. Or sorry, I got that backwards there. 1 and 2, you can really fly through it, and 3 and 4, you got a ton of gas, you know, off time where you can get back to the throttle real late to really get that run up off. I'm curious if that comes into play here in just a little bit. We'll find out. Looks like Merrick's going to end up with the pole here with that 36.63, but just barely over Holden McGill.
Yeah, I mean, just barely indeed. 6 thousandths of a second currently, and looking at the rest of the field, looks like they're not going to be continuing on. So I do want to let everyone know, thank you so much for watching here on LSRTV for the L-TAC Cup Series. I want to give a shout out to that of Tucson Sound Art. Tucson Sound Art is a way for you to engage with people in your house with why not get a painting that is a Bluetooth speaker for people to hear music coming out of a painting. What a way for yourself to engage with everyone around. It's a battery powered painting that actually is Bluetooth, and you can put anywhere in your house. It can last for up to 2 to 3 days, and it's certainly a way for people to engage and have a fun time. The paintings that you can bring in and upload your own, or even go through the selection at that of Tucson Sound Art. For more information of Tucson Sound Art, please go to www.tucsonsoundart.com for more information. Thank you to Tucson Sound Art for sponsoring L-TAC. And also for the drivers here, as we're getting ready to get gridded up, this is going to be a little bit of an interesting way for they're going to start this race. The drivers this season have been struggling to find their pit box. So for the first lap, they're going to go around, go into their pit box, find where it is, then they're going to restack up and get to go green. But the drivers are gridding up. So let's take a look here at our starting grid for here at the L-TAC Cup Series. It's time to see our 16 drivers that are going to drop down to just 10. As here's your team 126 starting lineup. Pole position going to be going to that to Merrick Watchhorn. To his outside going to be Holden McGill. Row number 2 going to be finding out that is Taylor Butcher Benjamin, coming up with a lot of speed with Logan Hamilton to his outside. As drivers continue to deliberate and talk where they're going to be lining up. Row 3 going to be that of Jeremy Berger and that of Colin Stone. A lot of these drivers that are in our top 3 rows looking to be locked in already. This is the row where we're going to be seeing some drivers hunting to get as many points as possible. Frank Flores and Brett Fisher, both outside of the top 10 in points. They're going to need a big points day if they want to keep on moving. Coming into today's race, he missed a couple of races during this first round of the playoffs, so he is already mathematically out of a chance to move him out here. And the man we're going to be having all of our eyes on, that is Stefan Purcell. His goal, stay in front of Robert Patton-Gale as we go back to row number 6. That's where we're going to be finding that of Sean Deals, as well as Ryder Strauff. As Ryder Strauff, one of those drivers that's always a question mark on how well he's going to be attacking each and every race. One of those non-playoff drivers. And Robert Patton-Gale, who's going to be looking to figure out how to get in front of Stefan Purcell, going to be back in row number 7. That's going to be Joseph, the 20. Joseph, one of those drivers we've seen up front time after time. We'll see how he can climb through the traffic. Back to row number 8. That's where we're going to be finding that of Richard Springer and also that of Brian Huttonley, who Jr. in the 19. I haven't really seen that of Huttonley racing that often. And last driver, that's going to be Kevin Flores. Kevin Flores comes into this. Kevin Franks, comes in 13th in points, 9 points out from that of Purcell. We'll see how well he can tack it. As you can see, the drivers coming down pit road, trying to find their pit stalls. So once we go green, they know where to go. David, it's kind of a unique way for the drivers to start out, figuring out where their pit box is. But hey, this is a good way to help out where the drivers know where to go all race long.
I like it, because we've gotten in races with the Cup cars, and there's a lot of boxes down there. You don't realize, and especially on a brand new racetrack, you don't realize how tight pit road can be. And it's good for these guys to get a run down there just to check out where they're going to end up stopping here when this green flag comes down. I'm assuming we're going to get a few green flag stops here at some point in this race because of how bad the tire wear situation is. As the lights are off on the pace truck, we're getting ready to go green flag racing in just a moment.
Twin ring Motegi, first time going to be shown here on the L-TAC Cup Series. Excitement for most of them here, but yeah, touching on green flag pit stops, the fuel run looking to be anywhere from 25 to 30 laps. So if we do stay green under stage 1, that is going to be at lap 40. At the end of lap 40, that's when that caution will wave. So these drivers are going to have to make a green flag pit stop if we stay green. But with that short of only 30 laps, these drivers need to get aggressive, get up front as quick as possible. As they're starting to get revved up, ready to go, pace truck pulls off. And the L-TAC Cup Series, it's time to see who's moving on to the top 10. Who's going to go to the next round? Up front, it's going to be Merrick Watchhorn, already moving his way forward and to the high side with over a car length gap now into turns 1 and 2.
McGill's going to drop in line there in the second position as the 30 of Brett Fisher works on the outside of Flores there, coming up off of 2 here. They got that tight angle coming up off. They got to hold it off the wall. He's got it right now. The position on the outside just enough. He's going to try to squeak down, it looks like, here going into 3.
Brett Fisher now up to 7th. And in front of them, you've got that of Colin Stone and also Butcher Benjamin, who are all now single filing out. And this is interesting to see. Still side by side is going to be that of the 23 of Flores and Fisher. And then you got that of Purcell just lingering in 9th place. Got to be the driver to watch out for, hoping that he can somehow get up, stay in the top 10, get as many bonus points as possible, because there's the possible chance if you're running up front and you win stage 1 and stage 2, that's 20 bonus points already going to yourself. And somehow you can get that, and then all about getting the best finish you can get at the end.
Well, we're definitely going to have to keep track of that between Purcell there and Pattengale, who Pattengale has already dropped all the way towards the back end there. He must have had an issue on the start of the race, so he's going to have to make kind of a Tony Stewart comeback like he did that year to get back into this playoff deal. As Purcell sets sail, he's still sitting nice and steady in the top 10. He's just needs to get some stage points here to keep him safe on the end.
Oh boy, a little bit of contact. Got to be careful for some of these guys as they're continuing to go through 3 and 4 now this corner, and you got to get on the brakes a little bit harder than going through 1 and 2 to make sure you can get around this course. And you're just seeing a little bit of a shuffle from the 23 of Frankful of a little bit shimmying there, here or there could build up the longer the run goes on. And also for that Purcell, he's got to be concerned because he's pinched in the middle. He's willing to get a little bit aggressive here.
2x2 headed down a backstretch. They make another little bit of contact here as these guys are trying to side drive iRacing system. He got right into that left front fender there on the green machine. He might be a little bit tight coming up off the corners now with that left front pinched in.
We're continuing to watch this great action in the middle of the field, playoff implications between all these drivers. What you do is still, I'm looking up front, a lot of drivers still staying in the line, as that American Watchhorn still up front, but he's got Logan Hamilton. Hamilton's looking pretty quick and trying to give a little bit of a bump to the 21 up front, but we're going to continue to just pop back and forth of where is drivers. Again, that Brett Fisher, he's only 5 points out from making it in. Currently he's in 7th place with Purcell in 10th, so gonna need a couple getting those bonus points right now. If they finished where they're at now for both stage 1 and stage 2, Brett Fisher could find himself into the next round.
Oh, Fisher's looking good, sitting in that 7th position as the cars are now spread out. Fisher just riding along there in the 7th spot, probably just saving on those tires a little bit, not knowing due to him. So he's swinging a little wider than the rest of these guys. Most of these guys are hugging it down low and wondering if he's letting a little bit of wheel out of it to keep from burning that right front up. As we got some good racing going on here towards the back, we got 2x2 again headed down into turn 1.
Yeah, that's where we're going to be finding that of Deal and also Shrouf. Deal, one of those drivers that was inside of the top 10 coming into this week. 19 points for the good for him, being 9th in points. It kind of helps of a little bit of a buffer to work with, but having 2 stages and those stage points counting, it just adds so much more frustration at times. If you're having a bad stage that could be lost, especially with this small of a field, I got to say for Robert Pattengale, he's got to hope that a caution comes out for that 33. He's 10 seconds back from our leader and nowhere close to our front 10.
No doubt. Purcell just trying to hold on here. Not sure what's going on there, but he's still hanging tight towards the end of the field here. Doesn't look like he's got much to get up there and race Purcell just yet. This is 134.
Yeah. Might be seeing some drivers thinking about setting themselves up for a chance to possibly 11. Could be the window that we could be seeing some drivers do an extreme undercut to try to make themselves to the end. But, you know, looking at how the field is right now, kind of a track, we keep on noting on that. But a person that got to touch with the track a little bit was that of Jeffrey Souza, one of the track build, to try to get a little bit of a talking point from his point of view, building out the setup for how this season, setting up this whole entire setup. As here, Jeffrey, it's Sam up in the booth. You set up this car, and for these drivers, how was it trying to get a cup car set up here at Twin Ring Motegi?
Well, honestly, Sam, this track is honestly an interesting one to say the least. Turn 1 kind of reminds me of the new Texas. Turn 1, very wide, very spawning. And turn 3 and 4, honestly, in my opinion, reminded me of 3 and 4 down at Gateway. So when trying to set up this car, you know, you look at 1 and 2, and you need enough turn there to get that thing to rotate without killing your right front tire. But at the same time, 3 and 4, if you get it too loose there, you're tough in not even just the straightaways and the, you know, the setup yourself by yourself on the track. this draft package is ridiculous now with the dirty air.
We're seeing it right now. Drivers side by side on screen for 10th place is almost Strauff getting into that of Purcell. Purcell continuing to be hounded, and he's got Nickelodeon's machine, hoping that he doesn't get any contact, but Strauff just really not giving any space. But Greggy, what was one of the aspects of this track? This is the first time that L-TAC has been at this course. I know you're talking about trying to set up both corners so different from one another, but what is, trying to set up for the draft? Is there anything that you were specifically working on for these setup?
So for the most part, when working on these setups, especially mile and a halves, it's a little bit easier than setting up for the A Opens or the NIS Opens, the main official races that I'm used to doing, because when you set up a car for a series that you're trying to get better racing in, it's more of take some of the downforce out of the car, take some of the trimming out of the car. So instead of having the front end sealed off to the ground, we pick it up a little bit. And that ends up making it less aero dependent than usual. The dirty air doesn't affect the cars as much. And I think we've seen that at some of the mile and a halves, most of the mile and a halves that we've raced at this season, that there's been a lot of side-by-side hard battles for the win, and not just on late restarts, but on, 50 lap runs all the way down to the end of the race.
And David, you got any questions?
Oh, absolutely, man. What's it like to be out here on this thing? It looks like a lot of fun for these guys out here right now with that wide open racetrack, but it seems to be like we've seen in that one shot, they lost the nose on the front end, almost took Purcell for a ride.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's definitely different. You go down into turn one and you feel like, I can carry all this speed down in the turn and it's going to be fine. But once you get there, the car reminds you, hey, there's only 10 degrees of banking down here. And it's kind of trying to train yourself to remember that you can't throw it in the turn. It's one of those tracks that in my time on iRacing, I've probably only used the driver line at road courses. And this is the first oval that I've actually had to use a driving line to make the setup, because I'd never been here. I talked to some of my friends who've raced here with the IndyCar, and IndyCar obviously a lot different than the Cup cars, but to make the setup, I really had to go back, watch different races. I went back to a few different YouTube videos from, I want to say 2011, 12, 13 with the Cup cars to try to figure out exactly braking points, how hard you have to get on the throttle, when you have to get the throttle. This was probably one of the most technical tracks on the schedule, not counting the road courses we've been to, of course.
I mean, Gregory, thanks for coming up into the booth. I mean, it's one of those things where this track sounds like it was a monster to make and a blast of times to run. But thanks for coming up to the booth and talking with us.
10-4, guys. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of the race here.
Well, watching this race currently, I mean, David, it's been an interesting one. We've seen a couple of side-by-side incidences with drivers in the back half of the field, in the middle of the field, but up front, we're watching it right now. It's Merrick Watchhorn, Holden McGill. They are right on top of one another, and Holden McGill looks like he's setting up to possibly make a pass here.
Looks like McGill's held off burning that right front up just a little bit better than Watchhorn as he's come into striking distance now. It looks like he's getting a good run up off of 2 here. He's going to look to the outside, possibly sweep down to the bottom here, headed into turn 3. He's getting the draft right now. McGill looking to hunt down the 91 car.
I think what we're starting to notice, though, is this track seems to be slightly a one-lane course. Your goal is get to the white line, stay down there, and hopefully you don't drift up too high. But here comes Holden McGill trying to break the draft just a little bit, but couldn't get to the quarter panel to try to side draft his way forward. And it looks like it might be hurting him on the entry of the corner a little bit too high, but might be trying a little bit of a sooner apex. Here comes the 21 coming out of turn number 2. It looks like that was it. He was just trying to sooner apex, and here comes the momentum on the backstretch.
No doubt. As we got some racing going on here, coming up off of 2 here. They're door to door. Got 2 cars side by side right now, headed down into turn 3. The 92 machine just in front of them has a nice little gap, but these guys running door to door, you got to watch that side force on the side of these cars. The guy on the bottom can get real tight real easy.
Yeah, I mean, Sean Deal, he dropped back slightly. He was back at 11th at one point where he qualified, now up to 7th. This 44 has been saving these tires. Those first 5 laps, you saw everyone else in the middle of the field get extremely aggressive, trying to gain as many positions as possible, but Deal went with the opposite approach. Save those tires early so then he could try to attack these corners. As we were notified, the fuel window around 25 to 30 laps, so we're inching closer and closer to that window. But David, I mean, we're going to have, with those pit stops, only about 10 to 15 laps to run in this stage. Once you come to pit road, do you think you're going to be one of those guys that wants to pit early or pit a little bit later on?
I'd absolutely pit early, knowing the stage is ending at lap 40. You might as well come down, and chances are the first guy that comes down, it's going to make everybody else follow suit. So you can get 1 or 2 laps up on these guys, possibly, you know, depending on really the tire wear. But it seems like, considering how much McGill drove in the leader there, that he saved enough to get up there to him. Maybe there is a good amount of tire wear here that these guys can make up and jump a few spots if they come early.
Just looking at some of those drivers outside of the top 10 in points and into pit road, it looks like that is going to be that of Colin Stone. Stone pitting a little bit earlier than expected, but still in the window to make it to the end. So going with a little bit of a undercut here for the 43. I'm kind of liking this. He came into pit road around 7th, 8th place, trying to get him service done. Also, Jeremy Berger, well, sounds like he might have had an issue for himself coming out of turn number 2, and he did. Got a little bit too aggressive, hard into the wall for the 97, but luckily, it looks like he just was losing a lot of time because he almost got into the wall. But these drivers do have a fast repair if needed, as Stone comes out of pit road as our leader still duking it right on top of one another. It looks like it's one of those situations where you can catch up to somebody, but making the pass is not good.
That 21 did a late apex there, seemed to help him a lot, but he just can't. It's like it stalled. It got to that bubble, as the Cup guys talk about. He got right there, McGill, and then it just stalled him out. He couldn't really get back down to the bottom of the racetrack. If he can hang with him, I think, here in 3 and 4, which he does, he may be able to get that run up off of 2 like he's been trying to do every lap. And if he can leapfrog him here before the pit stop, that'd be really, really good for the 21 machine for pit position.
He's trying the similar, just go a little bit higher through entry of turn 1 so we can get a better exit at turn 2, and here he comes. But like you said, there's that bubble that's just hurting these drivers. If he can somehow get to the quarter panel, I think he's got a shot, but just he keeps on getting to that just 1/10 right there, just that little bubble that's cutting him off. I think if Holden McGill just had one more driver behind him, so it gave him a little bit of a shove, possibly would have a shot here, but Watchorn looking great for himself. As we still wait for more drivers coming to pit road, Stone only went with fuel only for the 43, so he's set up to continue on and making it to the end as Jeremy Berger into pit road for the 97.
If McGill, and that's the other thing, right, is they can come down, just get fuel only and hold on to it. Hold on to track position, maybe not be able to make it up with tires. So these guys out front may not be worried about guys leapfrogging or anything like that. I was going to say, if they're coming to get tires, I'd try to get underneath the 91, try to get down there, and then it looks like we got a lead change up front. According to the scoreboard, we'll have to take a look.
Merrick Watchorn into pit road, giving Holden McGill that lead position. It looks like a lot of the drivers going with fuel only on these pit stops, which is kind of a telling sign that you can gain or lose a lot of time on how well you can enter and exit these pit roads. Who feels a little bit antsy on getting aggressive or wants to be stable as Watchorn into his pit box, clean, stable for himself. Other driver that followed him was the 9 of Springer. And now we wait for when is McGill coming in, and he's coming in now. The 21 pulling into pit road. And most of the field, we're expecting them to come in as well, as Taylor Butcher Benjamin actually stays out for another lap. And so does that of Uphold and Hamilton. So a couple of drivers trying to stretch it out a little bit further than I was expecting them to go.
You think some of these guys are trying to get up there. I'm not sure if you get a bonus point for leading a lap anymore with the way the points are set up. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on that. But, you know, curious if some of these guys are just staying out, trying to grab that extra 1 point.
Yeah, the bonus points that these drivers can get is 1 point that you can get. That was grabbed by Watchhorn. Get the pole position. Another one is winning the race, leading the most laps, and also the stage points. So those are the bonus points that you can grab. Just leading a lap does not give you that bonus points. So for these guys, it's just a strategy call. Stay out there as long as possible, which we know they can go 30 laps. But just an interesting call that we're seeing some of these guys trying to stretch it as far as they can go.
Very possible we have a... Yeah, he caught the wall earlier, though. He caught the wall with the right side of that 97 machine. That Burger King car is just beat up a little bit, had a little bit of a whopper coming up off of 2 earlier on.
Yeah, and it looks like he had to come in for the second time for Jeremy Berger, so he's going to be having even more issues as he's just in pit road trying to get, and might have gotten a penalty for speeding on or a mishap on the exit of coming out of pit road when he came in. So he is still in pit road getting service done for the 97, but yeah, he's just trying to get the repairs done, it looks like, as well as might have gotten a penalty as Steele into pit road, as well as Kevin Franks. Leaving us with just 3 drivers out there, that of Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, Bearcott Pold, and Logan Hamilton.
Well, if we're looking at this correctly, it looks like McGill leapfrogged Watchhorn there for the lead. So McGill possibly going to be in a top spot once this pit stops rotate out, unless there's a yellow before that happens. Uphold now into the top position, going to grab a lap lead here. Just a moment. And we got the 44 machine leaving pit road now.
44 of Deal coming out of pit road. Entering is now going to be Butcher, Benjamin, and Hamilton, leaving us with Barrick Uphold still out there. And looking at the timings between that of McGill and Watchhorn, it looks like McGill just a little bit faster coming out of his pit box than it was for the 91, which is interesting to see. Just a couple of tenths that were gained from that moment, and then also how aggressive you were on the entry and exit of your pit stops gave you a couple of more tenths that just built up to now this 1.5 second gap lead that McGill has is now Uphold into pit road.
That'll complete the pit stops. McGill is going to end up taking over the top spot here. Once Uphold gets down into his stall, he's coming around here to take the lead is McGill.
McGill, he has been dominating most of the regular season. He came in as the points leader into the playoffs, and he only had 1 week where he wasn't the points leader, and that was coming into our last race at North Wilkesboro. But he took that lead position right back in just 1 race. This 21, just the consistency he's had through the regular season, you know he's going to be a threat for the rest of the playoffs, and comes into today as our points leader in this first round. But the points will reset going into the round of 10. So the drivers do have to know that the next round, still 4 races, but you got to reset mindset-wise and know that you got to attack these next 4 races, which the next 4 races, Rockingham, Bristol, Las Vegas, and Homestead. So we got 2 short tracks, and then we've got also 2 mile-and-a-half courses. Very interesting how this playoffs is looking like as we're seeing the close action battling for 4th place.
They're battling for 4th place, headed down into 1 here. We got the Valvoline machine on the bottom trying to make work, but it looks like he gets a little bit airtight on entry there, falls in suit behind. I'm sorry, I'm losing the numbers here, guys. You'll have to take over for me here, but they're 2x2 headed down the backstretch into turn 3.
Yeah, that's going to be that of Colin Stone and then Logan Hamilton. And it's going to be on the high side, that colorful 12 machine. Then the 6 on the inside, that of Springer. As they're trying to gain off the corner. Got to watch out, though, because as we're coming closer and closer to the end of this thing, all these drivers went with fuel only, but the 92 behind them went for 4 tires. One of 2 other drivers to do so to take tires. Huntley took tires, as well as Kevin Franks that are back in 11th and 12th place, but Barrick Uphold, he's got a lot of gain here. He's got 3 positions that he can move up, going from 7th up to possibly 4th for the 92.
I can't imagine he lost much time, because I was sitting here thinking if they were low on fuel, they're still going to have to be in the pits for 8 to 10 seconds. So that extra 3 or 4 seconds might be worth coming down to get tires if you come early enough. And Uphold has proven that right. He's up into the top 5 spot now and working on Richard Springer for that top 4.
Yeah, I mean, the drivers difference-wise is running about 2 seconds off of what their best times are. So you're running about a second to almost 2 seconds faster just in 2 laps. You've already gained all that time you lost. And for it being about a 10-lap stint these drivers are dealing with, as it is going to be at the end of lap 40 when our stage 1 comes to a close, we could see Barrick Uphold probably gain another position or more if he continues at this pace.
If he continues at that pace, no doubt, if he can beat him by 2 seconds a lap, which right now he had about a second on the top spot. Holden McGill ran a 38.66. Barrick Upholds that 37.31 last time around. He was dealing with some traffic, so if Uphold can stay up on the wheel here, he's only, right now, he's got a 4-second gap up to first position, so he's working on him right now. I think he might have a shot at getting his stage win if it goes green the rest of the way.
And as we're continuing to watch this battling that's going on for that of 6th place, also got my eye back for the 11th position. That's where Kevin Franks is. Kevin Franks came into this race 9 points out from making it into the next round. He came in 13th in points, but he's got four fresh tires, but he's challenging the 19 that also has fresh tires, but they're closing up on Frank Flores. Frank Flores, he's just a sitting duck to these drivers, which is going to be putting that of Kevin Franks into a shot to get at least 1 bonus point, which could be massive for himself, as he's already just 1 position ahead of Purcell. He needs to gain a little bit more bonus points during stage 2, but he's got a decent shot here to possibly steal away a position here.
Well, hopefully for Franks or Purcell, one of them are seeing what this 92 car Barrick Uphold's doing as he's flying around here. He picked up another 2.5 seconds on the leaders. He's coming quick. He is flying right now. We'll just have to see if he's got enough time. I believe he's working on the watch horn machine now in just a moment. But yeah, right now, McGill staying out front. He's got a nice, steady lead right now. I think he's going to be able to close it out here as there's only 3 laps left. I don't believe Uphold's going to have enough time to get there.
Yeah, and this is actually another interesting thing to look at. One of our drivers that were inside of the top 10, that of Grant Peterson, he was 5th in points. He had himself a 43-point lead over some of those drivers of that of Robert Pattengale, but he's only got a 48-point lead over Brett Fisher and only a 52-point lead over that of Kevin Franks. If Kevin Franks can somehow find the pace to get over 52 points, he could be stealing a position away in the top 10 without even having to worry about passing Purcell on points.
That's true. Kevin Franks sitting in the 10th spot, trying to get that stage point. It's only 2 laps left. It looks like he's going to be able to hold on to that spot.
And pit road has been closed, so if you wanted to pit earlier to try to get a little bit of an extra advantage, possibly get some positioning for the start of the next stage, you don't have a shot here, as we are now coming up to the start of the end of this stage. Holden McGill, he made the pass under pit road, and Barrick Uphold, he's able to move himself up to 2nd place. He's going to be about 5 seconds short, but man, I got to give credit to Holden McGill. He was just staying behind Watchhorn for so long before pit road happened, and he obviously saved those tires for this extreme long run, and he has done a great job as Watchhorn drops back to 3rd, but he's 5.7 seconds back from that of Holden McGill.
Yeah, he's fallen off tremendously compared to McGill. I'm curious if McGill grabbed 2 tires, because he's been consistently about half a second to a full second quicker than Watchhorn there these last several laps. So maybe a little bit different of a strategy going on between these guys. I'm sure a lot of them will sharpen up here for the 2nd stage.
Coming at turn 4 and across the line, Holden McGill going to be able to win here at stage number 1 at Twin Ring Motegi, as we wait for more drivers to come across the line. But the 21, a great run for himself, and obviously going to keep in mind for Holden McGill that he's one of those drivers that have done just trying to pull away from the rest of the field. Is looking at the field rear still, and there's finally the yellow, as Kevin Franks was able to move up to 10th place. So 1 bonus point goes to himself. as he's trying to make his charge to somehow make his way into the playoffs. Barrick Uphold, though, this is kind of a lost cause for that 92 team. He had to gain 47 points to even get by that of Stefan Purcell. And with that of Kevin Franks having such a good run, it's not looking good. And I think with the amount of drivers that showed up here tonight, Barrick Uphold is mathematically taken out of the playoffs.
Oh man, even with those 9 stage points, that's a shame for Barrick Uphold if he's not able to get to the playoff cut line with that smart strategy he pulled off on that last run. He actually gained 7 positions compared to the start of that first stage.
I just saw it in the chat. Graham Peterson just said hello from Knoxville. So now we know where 5th place and points into tonight Graham Peterson is. He decided to have some fun watching some trucks dirt tracking it out here tonight as drivers are going into pit road, going to get their service done. This has got to feel good for those drivers that are going to be getting 4 fresh rubber, but for some of these guys that already took 4 tires, such as Barrick Uphold, also Brian Hunley and Kevin Franks, they went with 4 tires. Got to be questioning when they're going to be thinking about, or if they're going to be taking a set here, or will they be patient and just stick with the set they've got until they need to pick their next green flag pit stop?
I'm thinking if you're these guys up front after seeing what Barrick Uphold did, you got to get tires here. If I'm Larry Mack, I'm yelling on the radio, we're getting 4, boys. So the 21's coming down. He's going to stop in that second pit stall. There, McGill going to grab most likely 4 tires right sides up on that machine. Same with the 91. He's grabbing tires right now. Looks like it's going to be 4 all the way around for both of our leaders.
And it looks like Barrick Uphold also going to go with 4 fresh tires. These drivers had 5 sets to start out this race, the one they started off on, and 4 in pit road. As pit stops got done, Holden McGill, Barrick Uphold, Adam Merrick Watchhorn, Kevin Franks, and Taylor Butcher Benjamin, your top 5. We'll be back in just a few to go green and start out stage 2. But stage 1 winner, that is Holden McGill. We'll be right back in just a few.
Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, right? Our Ram trucks, truck of the year, amazing trucks. We have fun Jeeps, and then the exciting Dodge and Chrysler products. Lots of performance there, lots of excitement there. They've done a great job in really creating a full scope product line that could suit everybody's needs. Whether it's a family vehicle or a fun vehicle or a utility type vehicle or a big truck, we've got it all for our customers.
Everybody knows everybody. Well, they sure as hell know me. And that my dog.
Look at that.
Look how wide that deer is.
Oh my god. Oh my god. He's down. He's down.
Hold him up first, huh? You hold him up. Son, what do you think about that? Dylan, give me some skin, buddy. Excited?
After me.
It's L-TAC playoff racing here on LSRTV. We're going from our top 16 in points, dropping us down to 10 after tonight's race at Twin Ring Motegi. It was Holden McGill winning stage 1. Stage 2 about to get underway. These drivers going to be racing to the end of lap 80, and then we'll see how these drivers going to attack it. We saw a little bit of green flag pit stops going on, but my name is Sam Zire. With me is David Blenzen. David, I mean, we got to see a little bit of green flag pit stops, some strategy shown, but Holden McGill, I mean, he kind of did a little bit of a heist over Watchhorn.
He definitely did. You know, Watchhorn dominated the early parts of that run all the way to the pit cycle. And then the 21, McGill leapfrogged him, took the lead, and stole it right out of his hands. And then he ran away with it. Once he got that clean air, it seemed like nobody could keep up with him. He gapped the field by 4 seconds there, picking up the stage win. Very impressive job by McGill.
And looking at these drivers, got to be happy for that of Robert Pattengale. Got the reset, but he is trapped 1 lap down. Same for that of Brett Fisher. Joseph trapped 2 laps down is Jeremy Berger. So for that of Robert Pattengale, he was just 1 point out from passing that of Stefan Purcell to get himself inside of the top 10. This is not the way you wanted to start this race off, and it seems to just be spiraling and getting even more out of control for that 33 team. They're going to have to hope for some quick cautions to come out, but up front, Holden McGill, Barrick Uphold, Barrick Watchhorn, as well as Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Richard Springer, as that is your top 5 as drivers getting ready to go green. And immediately inside, it's Watchhorn, McGill. They are gone, not even giving that Barrick Uphold a shot.
No doubt. It looked like a true cup race with one line just moving. The top line did not go anywhere at all. It is a big advantage to have that lead start as we got 2 by 2 all the way through the field here. We got the Mountain Dew machine up high coming up off of 2. Looks like he's going to clear the bottom car here, take the position as they go once again 2 by 2 behind there.
Yeah, that car on the inside, that's going to be that of Logan Hamilton, who's now being pressured, but Springer going to be going extremely high. We'll see if that helps him on the exit here, but he's got to be careful of that outside wall and able to hold on, trying to carry that speed as they're going down the front stretch.
Definitely looked like Springer was going to catch the wall as he battles with Taylor there on the bottom. Butcher Benjamin trying to take that top 5 spot away from Springer. Springer continues to battle on that outside. He's got on the bottom Logan Hamilton working behind him is Colin Stone. He's going to try to follow Hamilton through on the bottom here.
Now, all the drivers that took a set already, that of Barrick Uphold, also Brian Huntley, they all decided to also take 4 tires on this pit stop. But a driver that took 4 tires under our green flag pit stop before the end of stage 1, that was Kevin Franks. He only went with fuel only on this pit stop. He's back in 12th, so he's going to have to really come back and gain some points. He has now put himself in a hole here during stage 2.
No doubt he's going to have to work hard here as we still got some good battling going on as Springer tucked tight to that right rear. Hamilton still grabbed the spot. Typically getting that right rear up in front of somebody's left front is going to make that nose push, and it sure did. The 6 machine had to get out of it up off of 2.
And Springer going to be fading back as they continue to just try to space themselves out. The drivers that keeping our eyes on, that is Stefan Purcell back in 11th place, did not get any stage points. So currently he's got himself still a decent buffer over the drivers behind him. But a lot of the drivers trying to aim and try to gain. For that of Purcell, he has to gain himself about 42 points for him to bump himself over that of Grant Peterson and not have to worry about the pressures of Kevin Franks. But Franks is probably the best option right now of all of our drivers outside of the top 10 to point his way into the next round. But for that 98 machine, he's kind of, like I said, he put himself in a hole with only going with fuel only on this stage caution. But he's doing a decent job holding off with everyone else, even with the little misstep that he had.
Well, I'm curious here if they get, I'm not sure if you'll know this, but if they have a limit on tires, maybe some of these guys trying to play the long game out here to try to have an advantage on one of these late race restarts, as we're already 10 laps into this stage 2. You know, we're looking at some good battling going throughout the field here, but Purcell, like you said, man, just trying to hold on to that last little point that he's got, holding him into the top 10. I don't believe he gained any playoff points either last time, so somebody like Pattengale, if Pattengale can somehow get back in this thing, all he's got to do is have a top 10 in stage 2 and he can be back in this.
Yeah, I mean, he has to unlap himself, but currently he is the 3rd car, 1 lap down, as he's got that of Brett Fisher and Joseph in front of him. Joseph, I'm surprised the 20 machine is struggling so much, but we kind of touched on it in the beginning of the broadcast. A lot of these drivers have not ran here before, so it's one of those things where these drivers have to re-attack this course with completely new eyes of how to even run a place like this with the new setup, with these cup cars, and with the aero package. We've already seen the bubble is so difficult to make passes, and that dirty air can certainly push you up a little bit higher than where you want to be.
Definitely, it looks like if you're going to make a move on somebody, it might have to be with a little bit of contact. We've seen a lot of guys getting together down the straightaways, trying to get all they can get with the side drafting. It's forced them, even though it's a one-lane racetrack, it's forced them to have to race a little harder than usual as Berger actually closes in on the back of that car there. He was about to give him a little bit of a love tap, it looked like.
Yeah, Jeremy Berger willing to try to get a little bit aggressive on that. That's the 20 of Joseph, and Jeremy Berger, he is 2 laps down, so he's got a lot of work to try to get himself unlapped twice, but it's not looking good for himself. The driver that did get the lucky dog, though, during all of end of stage 1 was Ryder Strauff, so he's back at the end of the line, but the 58, 12th place, he's doing a decent job as Kevin Franks has dropped back to 13th, being the last car on the lead lap.
Well, it looks like Fisher's trying to take over that spot, or actually, sorry, that's on Berger. It looked like Fisher was going to be going for that top spot for a lucky dog if his caution does come out, but it doesn't look like he's got that. He's still got to chase down Joseph in the 20 machine there to get that top spot. It looks like they're door-to-door now, though. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, they're coming up off 2 here, door-to-door at Noss machine.
Yeah, that's going to be that Brett Fisher who's coming around and trying to make that inside line work. He's still at the quarter panel, but here's Colin Stone coming in right when the window opens up for these drivers to make it to the end of stage 2, and he only went with fuel only. So Stone's trying to gain time by not having to put as much. He's trying to save at least 3 seconds that you don't need to put in later on in these stints when you run your fuel cell all the way to the end.
No doubt. The other thing he might be doing is trying to get some clean air if he can get out in front of the leader. It looks like he might be able to. He really needs to hold on to that position, otherwise he's going to be in danger of going a lap down. It might have been it's an interesting call for him for sure for a strategy, but I like it. You're not going to win by doing the same thing as everybody else.
Yeah, and Colin Stone came in 6th in points, and with the amount of drivers that showed up, he felt very comfortable to try something different. He's still on the lead lap. He is in front of the leader by about 6 seconds. So, yeah, for that of Colin Stone, why not try something drastic and different from everyone else? As we're seeing up front, I mean, a lot of different showings, a complete opposite of what we saw during stage 1. It's now Holden McGill trying to hold off that of Merrick Watchhorn in the 91, who's just waiting and looming, and you're seeing he's trying to get aggressive on the entries of these corners, but that can wear out these tires, which that was something that was touched on, that was given to us before we went live, was these drivers really got aggressive during their practice race that burned off their tires so much that they fell off by over 2 seconds and sometimes 2.5 seconds, so much more. And it seemed like Holden McGill learned a lot from that practice, as he's one of the best drivers after pit stops. He can really pull away from the rest of the field.
Well, we were talking to the setup builder earlier about how these cars aren't as air dependent as normal cup cars are, that he's got the nose off the ground, and that helps a little bit. But still, with Watchhorn following suit, you know, right there real tight, if you run too long on the back bumper of somebody, you may not realize that you're putting in just a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch more wheel each time through, because of how tight these cars do get when you're on the back bumper of somebody. So even when you're right behind someone and you're chasing them down, you got to keep that in mind. If you stay in their wake just a little too long, because of that downforce not being on the nose of the car, it's making the front of the car work harder mechanically and can burn that right front tire up.
We're seeing right now on screen, this is Stefan Purcell and also Ryder Strauff. This is for 10th place, and looking at this last pit stop under our stage 1 caution, it looked like Purcell stayed in a little bit longer trying to get repairs done on this 57 machine. So that right side's been scraped up a little bit, trying to make sure that the damage is fully fixed up so they can have a decent run for himself. But I mean, it seems like aero might be something to watch out for these drivers as we continue to race down the straightaway into turn 1. Everyone's staying in line, as still gonna be that of Purcell just outside of the top 10, not getting any of those bonus points, which kind of is gonna make you slightly concerned the later this run goes on.
No doubt, as we see the 67 machine heading down into 3. He's just riding nice and tight there, Purcell. He's just trying to keep his nose clean. You know, he haven't seen him make any kind of crazy moves. He had that one guy come up on his left rear early in the run. I believe it was Springer, got real close to his left rear. And ever since then, Purcell's just been cruising right now, just trying to keep that thing clean and be there at the end, and he'll have a shot. He knows if he wrecks this thing, it's not going to be good. And we were just talking about how calm he's being, and now we're going 3 wide on the bottom here with that 19 machine up on the top side.
Yeah, it's going to be Huntley Jr. falling back, and we're starting to see this is about 15 laps, 17 laps into this run. So the drivers have ran 15 laps of green flag racing. They've put the wear and tear in, and we're starting to see the drivers that were a little bit too aggressive falling back, as there's Jeremy Berger going into pit road. The driver that was 2 laps down might be going even more laps down as he comes into pit road, but he did notify that it was coming in about 2 laps ago. The rest of the field got to be questioning, when are they going to come in? You know that Kevin Franks is going to take 4 tires, but who else is going to be joining him in that fray?
I'd like to see some more guys taking 4 tires, try to get an advantage that Uphold had, as Barrick has actually fell back to the 6th position. Hasn't quite held that track position he's gained, but I'm sure he's keeping what he did in mind on that last stage. Maybe come down even a couple laps earlier and have a shot at the win for the stage. As long as nobody else uses the same strategy, he might have a shot at that. I'm curious how many people actually call on to what he did there.
Yeah, and you asked if there was a tire limit. There is a tire limit. They've got 5 sets here tonight, 4 sets in pit road, the one they started out with, and then 4 sets in pit road. So most of this field has already used their first set. Some of the drivers have already used 2. So you got to be thinking, when do I want to be attacking? And it looks like for that of Kevin Franks, he's thinking about setting up for the end of these stages, so he still has an extra 2 to work with once we go green to the end. But for the rest of the field, they've got to be thinking, maybe I do want to continue to just pit and just take fuel, so I've got enough sets after stage 2 is over and later on.
Yeah, you definitely got to think about it long term here. I like Uphold's strategy to come down and just get as much tires as you can get now, just because of how good these racers are. They haven't had anybody really spin out. We had a little bit of wall contact earlier for one gentleman, but besides that, most of these guys have been running a real nice clean race, giving each other plenty of room, maybe a little bumping and grinding here, but no yellows thus far besides the stage 1 break. So if I'm Uphold, I just keep going, keep coming down, get 4 tires, make up some spots, and if there's a late race caution, it bit you, but you're better off giving yourself a shot than not a shot at all by trying to save tires the whole time.
Yeah, and looking at the field right now, we're seeing the battle that's currently for 4th place of our top 5. That's Logan Hamilton, Richard Springer, and in the 6th. And then in front of them, the one of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Been watching his lap times. Been running just about a 10th faster than our front 2. He's getting some help from Stone drafting, and that could be a massive advantage. And knowing that you've got another driver in front of you that you could try to utilize to kind of tow you to the leaders, to possibly later on think about a different strategy of pitting for top 2 tires, like something you threw out that these drivers could think about, or even go for the 4 tire stop. But when you know that you still got an extra set to work with because you didn't take one during stage 1. During the green flag pit stop of stage 1, I should say.
Exactly. It just really plays out. Yeah, we got McGill down on pit road already. He's seems to be, actually it's about the same time as last run, but they went a little longer on the caution break on, because of the stage break. So he's about the same timing, going to have about 14 laps left in the stage here. We'll have to see if he comes down and actually gets tires this time, and if he can hold it out front. It's not like he can just get right sides and save the lefts for the right. Unfortunately, he has to get either, he's limited to rights and lefts. He only has 4 sets on each one, is what I mean by that. So we'll just have to see what he does here.
Also coming in, you saw on screen that Purcell, also Brett Fisher into pit road, and it looks like Purcell just fuel only taking off. Watchhorn now into pit road for the 91. And we're starting to see everyone trickle into pit road. Drivers I'm watching out for. What is Barrick Uphold going to do when he comes into pit road? Again, he took a set of tires under the green flag pit stop under stage 1 and at the caution of stage 1. So he's already used 2 sets. We'll use his 3rd right here. And I can't see the 92 using a set here. He's got to go with fuel only.
And no tires again for the 91 here coming on out. He has no tires once again. So interesting. They're all saving their sets mostly for the end of this race and for the stage break. So just interesting plan there. I mean, it didn't really hurt him last run. He only lost one spot. So if you can save the tires and not lose too much track position, that's what you do then. But, you know, Uphold, I just keep going all in on this strategy. I like it. It's going to give him a shot at, you know, finishing way better than if he left it alone, I believe, with the speed he's had in that hot rod so far.
As there's the one of Butcher Benjamin now coming out of pit road, and a solid run for himself. As you're seeing here, pit stops that these drivers have made. Those have made already 2 stops from their green flag pit stop in the middle of stage 1, and then also their stage 1 caution pit stop. So we're looking for drivers, if they pitted 3 times, they've already usually made their pit stop being made. Looking at some of our front runners that still need to come in pit road. Springer getting service done. Ryder Strauch just came into pit road. Still looking at our top 4 needing to come into pit road. Actually, now our top 5 as that of Huntley now comes up into our looks here.
Looks like McGill once again came out again in front of Watchhorn there. So looks like our leaders are going to stay in the same positions coming out. And what I've noticed so far on the second run, a lot of these guys have gotten a little better hang of the racetrack. The top 5 stayed a lot closer this time around than that first stage. So look at this race to get closer and closer as the run goes on.
Drivers still figuring out when they're going to be coming in for our top 5, and drivers that are a lap down, that of Robert Pattengale, he still needs to come into pit road. He's back in 14th for the 33. We're seeing Uphold, Deal, they're still on top one another, and they're going to stay out again. Again, these drivers can go out to about 30, 31, then they have to make their pit stop as Logan Hamilton in front of them going to be passed as Joseph in the 20 machine, who just went with fuel only, now making the pass on our leader currently.
Eric Uphold has definitely taken advantage of having that early set of tires, as he's held on to a lot of the track position throughout this run. He fell back to round 6, but he wasn't running. He was running a lot better up into that top 6 than he was earlier in the run. He was more towards the back end of the top 10. So it was a smart call there. Curious what he does here. If he's going to end up coming down and grabbing 4. Looks like he had a little problem coming up off of 4 there as Berger gets to the back bumper.
And we've seen periodically drivers get a little squirrely out of the corner, just getting a little bit on a throttle too soon, or they go up a little bit too high. But for Uphold, you do not want to be pressured this hard by a driver that's a lap down and multiple laps down. It's going to be one of those things where lead lap drivers, you gotta be so frustrated when lap cars are pressuring you like this, even though you're in the middle of a pit cycle.
Oh no. You definitely get frustrated with it, but you got to understand that man's running his own races. Berger comes up off. He's got a 4-wheel slide going. Looks like Rowdy Bush there a little bit coming to the line.
I mean, it's holding on. Luckily, that was a nerve-wracking situation as that of Deal just getting his service done. So leaving us with our top 4 still needing to come into pit road and looking like they'll be coming in this time by, as they just got 30 laps into their run. Which, with how short of a stint it's going to be, Kevin Franks, he's not going to have enough time to really gain all the positions like he did last time when he took his 4 tires. I'm not a fan of what we are seeing from this 98 machine unless his goal is somehow stretch it further than everyone else, which he did pit a little bit sooner, but he's going to be coming up about 5 laps short from the end of the stage. I don't understand this call from the 98.
The only thing I can imagine is if he came down pit road on the last lap of that last lap of that stage, and he can stretch it, it'd be pretty impressive if he did it. I haven't seen that much fuel save before. I have seen some fuel runs. It got me a top 5 in one of those big iRacing races. Just riding around, you feel slower than all heck, but you skip one stop in the cycle, and I ended up running pretty good. So Franks might be pulling that. Uphold too. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just hanging out, praying for a caution. Maybe he can get that track position and catch some points at the end of this stage, but we'll just have to find out. Wait and see for these guys.
Well, I'm going to poke at that a little bit. What track were you trying to hold off and trying to save fuel at when you were trying that strategy?
That was at Homestead, actually. Earlier this year, we did a, the weekly iRacing, NASCAR iRacing series. I ran a bunch of them just to have some fun. I'd never really done the Cup stuff. I'm mainly a short track guy. And, we were, a couple of us came down on the very last lap of the caution, came down and grabbed fuel, and I'm like, all right, these are the 4 other smart guys in the race. And sure enough, we got to the very end, and everybody ran out of fuel coming off of 4. The guy won the race running out of fuel, and I finished 4th or 5th, somewhere around that. But that was one of my best runs. Was on fuel mileage. It was a lot of fun. It's a lot more exciting in the car. When you're trying to save fuel, it's like you're not sure when to go, if you're going quick enough, and you're looking at the intervals every single lap, like, because you're going so off the pace that you're worried about just how much speed you're giving up to those guys, that they're going to cycle around and actually put you back where you were in the first place, or even worse.
Yeah, and that was a 1.5 mile course where you tried that out, and this is another 1.5 mile course. So you never know. Someone might think of something spectacular. I think the biggest thing that puts these drivers in a deficit is the fact that they are in a 50% fuel load compared to the full load that they're usually at. So it's kind of putting them in a trap spot where they have to pit under the stages. But after this stage 2 comes to a close, it's going to open up a lot of questions of how do drivers want to attack on saving their fuel. Again, at the end of the lap 80, that is when stage 2 will come to a close. All drivers have finished out their pit stops, and looking at drivers on who decided to go with 4 tires, no one did on this stint. So that first stint, everyone tried a different strategy, and I think for Kevin Frank's Uphold, they try to get as much track position as possible. For Uphold, it's worked out great. He's in 5th place currently, but looking at some of the other drivers that tried the same strategy out, Huntley, Franks, they're back in 11th and 12th. Stage points don't look promising for either one of those drivers.
No doubt. Purcell hanging on to that 10 spot. Looks like he's going to be able to get a point here, is what he's hoping to do, just stretch it a little bit more. He's got no breathing room whatsoever right now the way it sits, so he's definitely got to get some stage points. If he can get another position or 2, he's got 2 laps to really do it, and if not, he's just got to pray at the end he's got enough car and the right strategy to have enough points to get himself into the big show here to continue on in this season.
Purcell, he's hoping is for the best, but behind him it's Kevin Franks trying to steal that 10th position away, coming to try to block just slightly. Gonna be forcing the 98 down low. Here comes Kevin Franks. A little bit of a shallow entry for himself, but he's gonna make it stick. And there goes Purcell, falling back to 11th. Kevin Franks, he's trying to gain 2 bonus points, going in cutting that deficit he had coming into today's race. He was 9 points out. And if he's able to stay in 10th place, he could be a total of 7 points out from making it into the good, into our top 10, into the next round. That means he's going to have to figure out how to get 7, 8 positions in front of Purcell by the end of this race. Still a very large mountain to climb with this small of a field.
Well, I got to say this, it's interesting that Purcell let him go there. I understand the thinking, trying to keep that machine going, but you also got to think about this. You run into one problem on a restart. Right now, Franks is in 10th. We got a 17-car field. Purcell finishes with a DNF. That's a 7-point gap. That 1 point could mean everything. So you got to race as hard as you can. Purcell, I think he's playing it smart in some ways, but in others, I wish he would have put up that extra little bit of fight to try to get that 1 point, just that one extra point. And the caution is out. The 21 machine wins stage number 2. That's Holden McGill winning stage number 2 once again.
Yeah, he's going to get stage 1 and stage 2 for Holden McGill, just trying to pull a little bit more of a cap on top of how amazing his run has been as we continue to run through, trying to make sure 10th place comes across the line. Kevin Franks crosses the line and yellow will wave. Stage 2 has now come to a close. Man, it's now going to be a hunt to see how these drivers are going to be putting themselves in a better spot to possibly gain more positions. But for Kevin Franks, he just hasn't gained enough stage points in my mind for him to be a threat to try to take that Grant Peterson's position. But Stefan Purcell, if we find a massive slip up from that 57 team at any point, That 98 is waiting and looming, and it is going to be a close one. Stage 2's come to a close, and we will take a quick side-by-side commercial break. We'll be back for the end of pit stops, and we'll see who's going to be getting out of pit road, who's got the track position, as we'll be racing it to the end.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customers. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees at yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to L-TAC Cup Series playoff racing here at Twin Ring Motegi's Oval Course. Twin Ring Motegi, it does have a road course set up, and that'd be interesting to see if L-TAC ever thinks of next season testing out that road course in these Cup cars. But here tonight, it's been all Holden McGill winning stage 1, stage 2, and trying to get the sweep, and it's looking good for the 21. And this is the final round, the final race of the first round of the playoffs, where we're trimming down our playoff drivers from 16 to 10. And right now, it's Stephen Purcell still with a 1-point lead over that of Robert Pattengale, and he's also still got a 10-point gap lead. A 5-point gap lead over that of Brett Fisher. But it's that of Kevin Franks that we're keeping our eye on. He's able to chip away. It's down to 7 points that he is now off after getting his 2 bonus points from stage 1 and 2 combined. That he's gotten 2 bonus points. But it is now going to be a dogfight between those 2 drivers that are right next to one another in both 10th and 11th place. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is David Polenz, and with Charles Wooten in the production chair here tonight. David, it's been a while, 2 stages, but we race it to the end from here on out.
No doubt. It's been very interesting to see some of the strategy go down, and how Holden McGill came up on Watchhorn there in that first run. Didn't look like he really had anything for him early in the run, and now it's been all him since. So we'll have to see now that the tires are even. We're going to have a long run. Be interesting to see just how hard these guys push it, and when the windows open on pit road, when these guys are going to be coming down. We'll just have to see. As the 21 machine looks like he's choosing the outside on this restart.
Holden McGill going to go to the outside, try to get that of, which is interesting. He's going to be working with that of Barrick Uphold, who's going to be on the outside. Inside in the Mountain Dew is going to be Taylor Butcher Benjamin with Colin Stone. And then you got Sean Deal Richard Springer, Frank Flores, Ryder Strauff, as well as that of Stefan Purcell, your top 10. Some drivers went with an interesting call of coming into pit road, trying to get themselves topped off with fuel before going. Logan Hamilton going to be caught a lap down after some issues under green flag pit stops. So the 12 going to be the first car 1 lap down, but he came in, tried to top off with fuel, as well did the 33 and also the 20, that of Joseph. He's back on the lead lap. We'll finally see if Joseph's got enough speed to cut his way through traffic, or if he'll fall back and go a lap down once again.
We'll just have to find out as we're getting ready to go back green flag racing. Holden McGill is going to come down to the restart line here and get us back going down, headed into turn 1. He's going to get a heck of a start here. He's jumped the cone perfectly here as he clears Watchhorn to the bottom into turn 1.
And just like that, Holden McGill is gone by over 2 car lengths entering turn number 1. The question is, who's going to be able to keep up the pace? I was watching Lee in the runs, about 15 to 20 laps into a run, that we'd start to see the one of Taylor Butcher Benjamin be a little bit faster than our front 2. Wonder if the one's figured out anything to probably keep up that pace, or if he's going to be trapped. As now battle for the lead. Here comes Watchhorn to the inside. Holden McGill, he's trapped on the outside lane. It's coming out of turn number 4. Watchhorn wants the lead and he's aiming for it, but they're still side by side across the line. Holden McGill leads that lap as they enter turn 1.
Watchhorn pushing hard for this top spot. He must want that clean air as the yellow flies. Looks like McGill's still going to hold on to that position as we got the 30 machine in the fence down and a car flipping on the front stretch.
It's our first Pulse Poppers instant replay, and it is going to be caught up coming out of turn number 4. And this is not good for that of Purcell. Caught up in this one. We're going to be seeing some drivers getting phased into one another. A little bit of 3 wide action. Joseph, Purcell, and Strauff. 3 wide. And just a little bit of phasing and collision made, and a little bit of flipping for that of the 58.
That could be massive, like we were talking about earlier, something on a restart. I didn't mean to do the commentator jinx on him, but it looks like Purcell bit hard into the fence. Hopefully he can get that thing repaired and come down and get it fixed and hold on. That opens the door wide open for this playoff battle.
Yeah, the biggest thing now is, did you accidentally use your fast repair too early? I know a couple of drivers have made contact, and it looked like Purcell was willing to use the damage repairs and manually repair all of his damage. So if he feels like the damage is too much, he does have a fast repair left. And this now is actually believed going to be putting that of Logan Hamilton back on the lead lap, giving us 13 drivers on the lead lap, but the 12, excuse me, as a lot of front-end damage. He lost his hood.
Well, that definitely puts it tight on Purcell, as once we were saying earlier too. Pattengale only had 1 point behind him, and even though he's a lap down, he must be looking at this going, this is my opportunity. I got a shot here. If Purcell makes one more, and he didn't make a mistake there. There was really nothing he could do. He just got caught up, and that's exactly what can happen to you. Is something simple as a racing accident. Take what was a perfect day and ruin it and cut you out of a chase for the championship battle.
It looked like some drivers hard on the brakes. Brett Fisher looking back on it, and Kevin Franks able to slip his way through. But for Kevin Franks, he's actually going to come in top off with fuel. So a lot of drivers, now this is going to give you a couple of more laps to try to add on so that you feel a little bit more comfortable turning this race into a one-stop, which, looking at the marker, these drivers looked very comfortable that they could turn this race into a one-stopper, but this is just going to help those drivers stretch out a little bit further so that final stint is shorter. They don't have to worry about saving their tires, and they can just go all out.
Well, the guys that are pitting right now can make it on 2 stops with about 45 left in this race. Sure, these guys out front are probably saving their fuel under yellow. They may not even be thinking about it, but make that 1 stop. They'd be able to make it on 1 stop, where the rest of this field right now, the guys that have not come down and pit, will have to come down for 2 stops if they have not been saving this whole time. It'll be very close if not.
I think these guys are pretty set. The one that caution for the end of stage 2 came out around lap 81 and then 82. They then we're out for another lap or so. So that was going to be about 50 laps. These drivers can go, we know they can go at least 30 to 32 laps, which I was surprised to see for some of these guys. So one stop was in the eyes for these drivers. I think it's figuring out how long they want their first stint to be over the rest of the drivers.
Okay, got you. It's so 32. Yeah, they definitely could make it on one stop. We'll just have to see what these guys pull off. Got to be looking at Franks now after that incident. You know, he's going to be trying to put himself back in position. We're talking about that one playoff point, or sorry, one stage point there earlier. May help him out big time here. Purcell came down, got his car fixed up. Looks like he's going to be fine. He's just got to keep himself out of trouble for the rest of this thing. I would just try to finish this thing with all four wheels on the ground.
Don't be a Ryder Strauss. That's what you don't want to be. Is Ryder Strauss had to take the tow. Finally, is able to get back out on the track. Was aiming for a top, 12 finish for himself. But now he's going to be trapped 2 laps down. Next driver he's going to be challenging is Jeremy Berger, other driver that is 2 laps down. We got 13 drivers on the lead lap, but Logan Hamilton still on pit road getting service done. We might be back with 12 drivers back on the lead lap again.
Yeah, it looks like Hamilton's staying down there. He's probably going to just hold out just long enough here, try to get much repaired before he's possibly already used one of those fast repairs already. He only gets one, correct?
Yeah, only one for the field. Everyone has one fast repair. It's kind of like a reset for the car. If you get your car too damaged, get a brand new vehicle on pit road and get back out there. But yeah, there's no front hood, no front clip for the 12. It looks like he does not have that fast repair enabled for himself.
No doubt. As we get ready, we're going to go back to green flag racing here. We got the pace car light off once again, and McGill is going to be starting once again in that outside line. He must have really liked that run. Or sorry, yeah, McGill actually got that lead. I forgot. He held him off just barely when that yellow came out. So McGill did get the choice to go to the outside, and he'll be controlling this restart.
This is going to be Holden McGill, Merrick Watchhorn, Taylor Butcher, Benjamin, and that of Barrett Uphold with Richard Springer, your top 5. Colin Stone, Frank Flores, and Sean Deals, Stefan Purcell, and Brian Huntley going to be your top 10. Looking at some of the drivers that came into pit road, just trying to get some topped off with fuel. Purcell as well as Joseph, and you also could throw in Kevin Franks of the drivers that are on the lead lap, topping off with fuel. We'll see how well they can be staying out. As the pace truck pulls off, Holden McGill, Merrick Watchhorn. It's been between those two for the battle, but a little bit of jam-packed in the middle of the field. Looked like the 19 of Huntley just could not get himself in line as they are all scattering in the back half of the field.
Berger shot down to the bottom. Looked like he took some evasive action to avoid getting in the back of somebody, as we already got a fight for the lead. Once again, Watchhorn to the bottom of Holden McGill coming off of turn 2. They're door to door. Watchhorn is going to lay on that left rear, try to side draft down the backstretch. He gets to run, headed down into turn 3. Looks like Watchhorn may clear him headed into 3. And McGill's going to follow in suit into the second position as we work our way back through the field. They're 2 by 2 all the way through. So far here, coming to the line on that first lap of the restart. What a great run by Watchhorn. McGill once again to the bottom.
It just looks like Watchhorn. He's figured out 1 and 2 so much better than McGill, but it's that 3 and 4 where McGill just can fight back as he was bump drafting on the front stretch. Coming out of turn number 2, still side by side. We'll see if McGill can find the space, but David, these guys are battling so hard. They know that they're going to pit for tires on their next green flag pit stop, but this is I'm surprised they're battling this hard early in this run.
No doubt. These guys are putting on a heck of a show. McGill, Watchhorn real tight there through 3 and 4. McGill had a real low line on the entry of 3. It hurt him big time, got tight center, and Watchhorn's able to take over the top spot and set sail. Looks like he's already got 2 car lengths. That dirty air hurting the 21 of Holden McGill already.
We've been seeing the Holden McGill and Merrick Watchhorn battle all race long. The driver that's in 7th, though, Joseph, he's been a lap down for most of this race. Finally got himself on the lead lap. He's up to 7th, and he's put down one of the faster lap times of the day with a 36.8 that last time by. We'll see how much faster he gets this time by, but that 20 machine, don't look now, but he might be holding back the longer this run goes on. He could be finding himself up in the top 5.
No doubt. He ran a heck of a lap there. Joseph into the 7th spot after getting the lucky dog earlier. What a comeback for that 20 car. No doubt. As Merrick Watchhorn just sets sail. He's already got about 10 car lengths on the 2nd position. You got to wonder, is McGill just holding out, saving those tires?
He might be saving those tires, but also Watchhorn just put down that last lap, the fastest lap of the night with a 36.692. So there certainly is a lot of speed in the 91. And this is looking pretty similar to how they were racing during the practice race, where it was just full send and don't really think about saving those tires until you had to come into pit road.
No doubt. And as I look through the field here, it looks like Purcell has recovered nicely after that wreck. He's back into the 10th position, so he holds tight there. He's really got nothing to sweat as long as he stays safe. Pat and Gale back in 15th, really his closest suitor. So we got him running side by side for 3rd. They just cleaned it up, and it looks like Barrick Uphold is going to move into the top 3 once again, man. Uphold impressive here early in this stage, moving up to the top 3, trying to chase down McGill.
Yeah, just showing that track position is so important here. With it being a 1-lane course where the inside is where you need to be if you want to move forward or hold your position. Barrick Uphold's one call. I mean, it's stage 1. Come to the pits, get 4 tires. It worked like a gem, where he is now in 3rd position and could be finding himself a top 5 finish for himself for that 92 team that qualified in 9th place to start out this race and didn't get any practice time, just qualified. And it's certainly looking good for the 92. I mean, that is impressive to not have any practice time and just showing up for qualifying and now up to 3rd.
Yeah, he's definitely finally, figured out this racetrack, because he had fallen back to 6th in that last stage, and now he's able to stay up there near the top 2. And really, this whole top 7 is impressive early in this run. 8 laps in, and they're all still kind of under a blanket there down the backstretch. All the way back to Joseph, who's just hanging on the tail end of this. You got to wonder if he's saving his stuff, too, to try to make a heck of a run at the end.
Drivers getting a little bit dicey in the back half of the field, as hearing some drivers sounded like Berger as well as Frank Flores making a little bit of contact and able to hold on, even though they almost spun themselves around coming out of turn 4. But up front, still running as hard as they can go. It's Merrick Watchhorn, but this is looking like it's going to backfire here soon, because he ran quick for about 5 to 6 laps. Now the other drivers are starting to catch back up.
No doubt Uphold's going to have his work cut out for him to stay up into that 3rd position. And the biggest thing here on the long runs I see in the top 2 drivers in almost every division is tire wear. These guys in that top 7 that are trying to keep up with these front 2 leaders are probably pushing everything they got and maybe burning that right front up just a little more than the front guys due to the aero package behind them. As Uphold actually is moving up on McGill, looks like he's going to peak to the bottom of McGill heading into turn 3. They're door to door. It's door to door here.
I mean, Barrick Uphold, what a charge for himself, finding that positioning and patience to finally try to charge, but he wiggles coming out of the corner, just got on the throttle a little bit too soon. That rear end just flaring up coming out of the corner, and those little moments got to be careful for himself. And it looked like for Colin Stone behind them as well, trying to move forward, but just not able to. Everyone gets back in line. No position changes have been made.
No doubt Springer and Stone having a nice little battle here, going back and forth just behind these guys, as we've seen a battle for the top 2 spot. Looks like McGill grabbed another gear, because now he's starting to reel in on Watchhorn. We were wondering if he's just trying to pace his tires long enough, and it looks like he's trying to reel him in, as Springer almost gets into the door. Stone up off of turn 4, but they stay apart. No caution, no problem. They keep it together as they head down into 1, door to door once again.
The driver that's just been slowly, methodically gaining and getting a little bit closer, that's Joseph in 7th place. They are all now on top of one another, and that last time by, fastest car of this front group was that of Holden McGill, who he ran about 0.2 faster, and he's back on the back bumper of the 91.
That 91 machine's going to have his work cut out if he wants to stay in front of McGill, as we actually got a top 7 battle going on, 1st through 7th within a couple of car lengths. Pretty impressive battle here going on for the top-ranked drivers in this series. But Watchhorn, man, he's going to have to hold on to it here for a long time. He's got a long way to go. 31 laps to go around the Motegi ring is not a short period. He's got to keep the right front on that thing while also holding McGill off in his rearview mirror.
And as we're continuing to watch our top 7, just an update for that of Stefan Purcell. He is running in 9th place, and the next closest driver points-wise would be that of Frank Flores, but I mean, that Kevin Franks, excuse me, and Kevin Franks, he's back in 11th, 2 positions back. It's not looking good for anyone outside of our top 10 to make it points-wise in. It looks like our top 10 that came into this race, they might be staying where they're at as it's starting to get a little bit more dicey. Taylor Butcher Benjamin thinking about trying to get underneath the 92, but just can't find the spacing or really the exit speed to make that one machine go a little bit faster to make these passes, but looks like he might try to pounce here on the entry of turn 3.
I think to get around somebody, you're going to have to get right on their rear bumper and just get them a little bit loose up off. Use the air to your advantage as these guys closing up for that top 4, man. This is impressive how tight these guys are staying. Early on, seemed like the top 2 had a big advantage, but now they got a lot of company right behind them. Put the pressure on those guys to stay out front.
Still just questioning on when they're going to be making any of these passes still in line, and it kind of puts you out there thinking they're going to have to, if they're going to make a pass, it's going to be under pit road. Circumstances, a little bit of jam up entering the corner for McGill and Uphold, which now gives an opportunity now for Butcher Benjamin to the inside. Oh, a little bit of a pitch there from the 92. Yeah. Great defensive move by that of Uphold.
Uphold definitely holding tight to the door of the one machine. Taylor Butcher Benjamin looking to the bottom, trying to get it. It's real tough because that outside line, it's so long here at Motegi. They're able to get a good run up off, and with the way the draft works, those front leaders are going to be up a little higher, as actually we got a battle for the lead now. McGill back to the bottom of Watchhorn. We got them stacked up all the way back to the 6th position. What a race so far by these guys.
They were 2 by 2 by 2 for a moment there, and now we're starting to see the battle for the lead shifting up. Those drivers that recognized, hey, I've been waiting a little bit too long, and we're going to be trying to make some passes. Okay, we'll utilize the draft on these straightaways, and that's why we're starting to see everyone that wanted to make a pass all go at once. They had to utilize the draft as a group if they wanted to make these passes, because any solo moves, you had the guys that were all in line at being a little bit faster than you on these straightaways.
I got to imagine the longer the one car runs on the bottom of the racetrack, the harder it's going to be to get around the 92 car. It's going to be pushing that right front just a little too hard, a little too long, can hurt that thing for the long run. He's got to clear this pass very soon. Looks like he had his right rear just a little bit almost there, but not quite, as Uphold still continues to battle hard on the outside. The one tries to side draft at the last second on the way into turn 1, but Uphold staying real strong up there on the high side.
And right behind him, Joseph now up to 5th place. One of our playoff drivers. He came into tonight's 2nd in the points. And Joseph, he might have had one of the more awkward nights, being a lap down for most of the evening, and now trying to make that outside lane groove work. I think his main goal is make sure he's still on the quarter panel of the 1 and utilize that draft so he can just pull away and try to get that toe. And he's got the toe. He's still there. We'll see if the 20 can make the pass through 1 and 2.
Looks like Joseph's going to do it, getting up to the outside of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. He's got him right on the outside. He's pinching him up off of turn 2, and it looks like that one just can't hold on any longer on the bottom of the racetrack. Seems like that's the best groove to be in when you're by yourself, but man, when you're door to door, it's real hard to get the run up off, even though you got all this racetrack to use. It's real tough keeping the draft down the straightaway to beat these guys. If the one's going to beat Joseph, it's going to be on entry, as we got a car going around, it looks like, just back there. Either that or he was coming down to the pit road, but we had one down on the bottom of the racetrack off the front bumper of Springer. Looks like maybe an early pit stop here.
Coming into pit road, it's Colin Stone, and Stone, he is inside the window. He can make it to the end from here on out, and all drivers can make it from here on out. Do you want to give note that of Jeremy Berger, the 97, he came in tonight 8th in points, 25-point gap from himself to Purcell. Looking good. He is good to make it to the end, to make it to the next round, even with this DNF. But Jeremy Berger, this is not the way that he wanted this round to come to a close.
Not at all. As Colin Stone took 2 tires there, so this is interesting. Definitely going to gain some track position here. Looks like he's just in striking distance for the fuel run here. He's going to be just set perfectly. He must have been planning that all race as he shot down the last second, really gave no warning. Looked like the 44 machine almost got into the rear bumper of him right before he came down pit road. So nice move by him. Looks like he's playing a little strategy game, try to get one up on these top 6 where they were racing real tight. That little bit of time gained may help him big at the end.
Yeah, and it looks like Springer going to come a lap after that, and then coming in this time by is going to be the one of Butcher Benjamin. So you're just seeing the tails of drivers just trickling into pit road. I make sure you enter properly, as Frank Flores thought for a second he might have been thinking about going into the tire barrier. You don't want to hit that when you're coming into pit road. As Flores comes in, and following behind him is going to be that of Brett Fisher. As we're starting to see everyone trickle in, and we're coming close to drivers that are going to have to be forced into pit road. Here comes Holden McGill. Not surprised for our leader to come in. Watchhorn going to be staying out for an extra lap. That's a surprise for me. But Joseph following in with that of McGill.
You know, if you're going to stay out here, you got to stay out for a while. I've seen it work out for guys that grab the tires late and they end up having enough speed towards the end of this race. But you really got to have it cycle all the way through. I think the time to come is right now. Smart move by McGill coming down here before Colin Stone possibly gets one up on him.
Kevin Franks went with the strategy of our last caution, coming into pit road, getting service done, of packing it full of fuel. The only issue is when he comes into pit road, he's going to have fresher tires than the rest of the field, but I don't think he's going to have enough time. He's going to stay out there for an extra 6 more laps, as our leaders of Uphold and Deal, they stay out for another lap for themselves. Going to be hoping that they can get to the start of lap 32 on this set, but Merrick Watchhorn coming into pit road for the 91. It's just interesting to see the different strategies that these drivers are going to have to make for themselves. We're still waiting for our top 4 to come into pit road.
Looks like the 91 machine's in here right now. He grabs right sides. Is it working on? He's grabbing 4 tires. So Colin Stone's definitely going to leapfrog Watchhorn, as we actually have several guys leapfrogging. Curious, did we see if McGill grabbed all 4 tires? It looks like he didn't, because Stone's out in front of him by, seems like about 6 seconds from what I'm seeing on the time charts here. A little bit hard to tell. We'll just have to see when it all cycles out.
Deal now into pit road, and looking at the charts, it looked like Stone, the only one that went with the 2-tire stop. So gutsy call from the 43, but he's got the track position right now. A little bit under 5.5 seconds is the gap, and with how many laps are left in this race, I mean, 20 laps to go. Why not try something gutsy like this for the 43 of Colin Stone? Came into tonight 6th in points, very comfortable that he could make these reckless calls. He's been one of the earliest drivers to pit, and all those other strategies, he figured out how to save his tires at the best of his abilities. It's just so for this one pit stop for him to go for 2 tires over everyone else that's been going for 4 tires on this run. But that gap, it is almost diminished into a second in just a lap and a half.
No doubt. And right now, you just got to keep looking at Kevin Franks, too. You know, with Purcell right now, he's a lap down after taking those, taking that stop. I'm sure he'll cycle out to be not a lap down, but you got to wonder. And here comes Franks now. So he's coming down. We'll just be curious if he takes 2 or 4 tires and make it one up here on the track position. Like you said, got to wonder about Colin Stone with those 2 tires. Are you going to be able to hold them off long enough to stay there to the end?
Barrick Uphold is still out on track. He has been out there for 34 laps, and it looks like he might be coming in this time by No, he continues to stay out. I don't know where Barrick Uphold got this pace from to stay out this long, but he continues to stay out. And maybe he's found something that no one else knows, but this 92, there's no way for him to make it to the end, but he might just come in for a splash and go.
Have to find out, man. It's he's been the oddball out every single run here on strategy, so I'm curious what he's thinking, if he's going to come down, grab 4 tires late and have the speed on the end of the cycle. I know that's worked several times. Anytime I've short pitted in my experience, it's never worked out for me when it's on a long run, as he actually almost loses the rear end. Good save there on the way into pit road. Looks like he got as much as he could out of that 92 machine on the way in.
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to come in for a splash and go, though, it doesn't make sense why he would tear up those tires so much. But looking at the other drivers that are going to be taking that lead position, Colin Stone still with a 3.1 second lead over that of Holden McGill. And then behind Holden McGill, it's Joseph in the 20. He's just a second and a half back from Holden McGill. So it's still going to be close between these drivers. And for Holden McGill and Joseph, they pitted around the same time as one another. Merrick Watchhorn pitted just a lap after those two, so he's having to try to make up all that ground that he lost pitting a lap after.
Well, definitely did not work out for Barrick Uphold, because everybody else has got new tires right now, and I did not see the right side or the left side of that 92 machine go up. So he is going to be struggling here to hang on to the end. Definitely overthought the strategy a little bit. Would have liked to seen him grab 4 tires, see if it would cycle back around. The leaders are still running solid laps right now to 36.98 for Holden McGill to Colin Stone's 37.69. So you can see about 3/4 of a second quicker per lap for Holden McGill with those fresh tires.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give credit to Colin Stone for at least trying this gutsy call, which looks like could drop him back to maybe 5th, 6th place by the end of this run. But I mean, good effort on his part to try something different, knowing that he had the points differential to do these types of deals. As speaking of deals, here comes Sean Deal getting by that of Uphold for 7th position, putting the 92 back another spot. And now Uphold's got a little bit of a gap to worry that he has a buffer to work with, as Purcell about 9 seconds back from the 92, which Purcell looking for an 8th place finish, but he could possibly grab for himself after a very secure race he's had, running in the middle of the pack, not allowing the other drivers that are hunting him down to gain enough points to steal that position for himself. And now the goal is stay out there, stay green, and I think for that, Stefan Purcell, he's got a very good shot to make it to the next round.
It's looking very good for him. I'm sure a few of these guys, Uphold being one of them, after that call there for pit road, are begging for a yellow. Another guy begging for a yellow is definitely Colin Stone out front, as right now he's still, he actually had a great lap last time by a 36.88 to Holden McGill's 36.56. So he's, 3/10 slower than Holden McGill, but it's starting to even out a little bit, and we've seen how tough it is to pass. It may pay off for Colin getting that track position.
Also got to keep our eyes out on that Merrick Watchhorn. He was starting to gain up on time on Holden McGill, as now McGill's going to start to get that draft on the back stretch, could get that toe to try to help the 21 out. And that's probably going to be the biggest advantage, to try to help Holden McGill to try to hold off that of Watchhorn and Joseph. It seems like Joseph, he did his best to try to hold off the 91, but might just go into a cruise control mode of, I'll just follow Watchhorn wherever he goes.
Oh, exactly. Seems to be what they're doing here. So we still got eyes on Barrick Uphold. He's still trying to hang on to that thing, sitting in the 8th position. Getting down here right now, looks like Colin Stone and Holden McGill are going to be racing for the lead here in just a moment. They're getting pretty tight up for that top spot, as McGill takes the top spot away from him on the time charts. Looks like McGill is going to get back out front, and it's going to Colin Stone fall back to 2nd, and he's going to come into the clutches of the 91 machine very quickly here.
91, and Merrick Watchhorn now within a second of McGill, and also within 0.8 of that of Colin Stone, as they're also coming up to the lap car of Logan Hamilton and Hamilton's doing his best. No front clip, no hood. But a 13th position for the 12 that was running in around 6th, 7th place for most of this race. But that late wreck just cost a couple of these drivers on a chance to have a great run for themselves.
Well, I appreciate the effort of a lot of these guys. You know, a lot of guys would have quit sooner, and we still got 16 cars that are out here running, 3 of which are 1 or more laps down. Back to Jeremy Berger. I believe he may have already pulled off. He's 23 laps down. It looks like he's going to be our DNF of the day. He just did not have the good luck here at the Twin Ring, but, you know, it's looking good right now for McGill out front here. He's staying tight, keeping a pretty good distance between him and the 91 of Watchhorn.
Let's keep on looking at the times of each lap. It just seems like it's a 10th each and every lap, which, you know, once the draft is a lot closer for Watchhorn, he's got a good shot here, trying to use each car that you see McGill pass as another toe to try to get a little bit closer, and now going to be using that of Logan Hamilton as another toe to try to get by. Hopefully the 12 will just get out of the way of the 91. But Watchhorn, he's just about a 10th away from getting the back end of the 21's draft, and it looks like Hamilton ducking and weaving and finally going to actually be pressuring the 91 here, and it might be costing him a little bit of time.
No doubt, and right now it was 3/10 of a second quicker last time by for Watchhorn. We'll have to see around this time by. This time by, he was a 10th and a half off of Holden McGill, so he actually lost time that time by dealing with the lap traffic.
It looked like that a Springer had to come in, just top off with fuel, get a little bit of tires for the 6, and he'll get back out on track. But he was running around 7th and 8th before that, and giving 8th place to that of Stephen Purcell. Purcell is now within 3 seconds of Uphold, who did not take tires, and now is being ran down. Possibly a chance for that 57 to get even closer to potential of a top 5 finish if a late caution comes out, which isn't looking likely with how this field is running so spread out from one another.
I just got to say, I'm still impressed with Joseph here. Up 10 positions since the restart there. So he has made his way through the field. Very impressive by him. Same with Kevin Franks. He's up 8. That was more likely due to his late stop coming in for fuel and whatnot there, trying to stretch it a little bit. But yeah, we're coming down to the end here. 6 to go. These leaders, they're about dead even, 37.65 to a 37.66 last time by between the top 2 spots.
Yeah, I think for Watchhorn, he had to battle that of Hamilton so much that he just toasted those tires. Anything that he had left is now gone. The final 5 laps of this race. I mean, David, it's been a stellar race to see all the different tire strategies that these guys had to throw out. And for, like you said, Joseph, what a great job for himself. He was a lap down for about 90 laps of this race, got himself on the lead lap after a late caution that put him back in contention to carve his way through the field, and now up to 4th, potentially a top 3 finish for this 20 machine, who is getting heavily defended by Logan Hamilton, which this 12 with no front clip, no hood, still being aggressive with his other playoff contenders.
No doubt. He's not making it easy on anybody, and I'd rather that from a lap car than, make it hard for one guy and not the next guy. So at least he's making it even all the way around, racing everybody like it's the last lap. Got to appreciate the effort he's putting in and try to stay up into that top 13 position as Joseph moves on by that lap machine of Logan Hamilton. He's going to get clear and try to set sail and chase down Colin Stone. He was quite a bit faster the lap before that, but this time by Colin Stone beats him by 2/10. So, and it looks like our leaders are now gapped pretty big. It's about 2 seconds between Holden McGill and Watchhorn. Not looking like we're going to have a last lap pass by Watchhorn unless McGill makes some kind of error here trying to get by lap traffic.
Older tires, you never know. Someone might try to get a little bit frisky, try to make a pass that they really shouldn't have been doing. As year's Ryder Strauf going to be passed by Logan McGill. Schrauf, what a ride he went on. Went flipping, sliding on his hood, had to take a tow. That put him now 3 laps down. And for this 58, he was looking for a good top 10 finish, but with that wreck and him having to take the tow, it just put him too far behind. But here comes the 6 of Scott Springer. Springer has fresher rubber, and you could just see the difference of the 6 and having 2 fresh tires over some of these guys that have 20 lap older tires. And it's incredible the difference that you see here at Twin Ring, as coming out of the corner, coming across the line, white flag in the air, and it has been a fun one here tonight. It's your CRN, 1 to go out here at Twin Ring Motegi. And, you know, what a race it's been. It's been all Holden McGill for stage 1, won there. Stage 2, won again. And guess what? He's up front. Almost 3 seconds is the difference between himself and the 91.
Looking good for our points leader, Holden McGill, after dominating most of the afternoon, getting back by Watchhorn on that late restart. He's going to come off at turn 4 here. He's going to make it all the way to the line here at Twin Ring Motegi and take the win, number 3 on the season.
It's another win notched on for the 21, his 2nd of the playoffs, and it's got to be feeling good for Holden McGill, having the momentum of this first round that he can try to carry that over. The only poor thing is that these points are gonna reset. You got to start this all over again for another 4 race stretch. These guys go to Rockingham, Bristol, Las Vegas, and Homestead next round. But looking at where some of these drivers are, Stephen Purcell, he will be able to stay in the top 10. It looks like Kevin Franks wasn't able to gain enough points for him to get into the next round, but man, was he trying his heart out, finishing in 7th.
Yeah, he finished way better than he ran for the majority of that race, so good job by him to try to get up there and get it. But like you said, it looks like Purcell is going to hold on to that cutoff spot. Congrats to him making it in to the edge of the playoffs. Congrats to the other competitors that finished into the top 10. And I also got to appreciate all the guys that may not have finished where they wanted to finish, but they ran out the whole end of this race. It's not often you see that on iRacing, as we see the 21 machine, Holden McGill, doing the victory celebration on the front stretch, burning it down.
It's the burn it down for the 21, and what a race it was here tonight. We'll take a look at our final results as the 21 is burning it down, as Holden McGill able to finish off in first place with that of Merrick Watchhorn right behind him. And then you've got Colin Stone in 3rd, with Joseph not able to run down the 42 machine after being heavily pressured. Then you got Taylor Butcher Benjamin in 5th, Sean Deals in 6th, and then you've got that of Kevin Franks. Barrick Uphold able to get 8th place for his strategy of just staying out there, able to hold off that of Purcell. And then you've got that of Frank Flores in 10th position. The final results of the rest of the field, you've got that of Springer able to unlap himself late in this race, as well as Huntley in 11th place. Those are the drivers that left on the lead lap, and those that were 1 lap down. Logan Hamilton, probably the hardest driver to pass out of everyone out here. It's late in this race for the 12, 1 lap down for that of Brett Fisher and Robert Pattengale in 15th, and Ryder Strouth in 16th, and our one and only DNF, that of Jeremy Berger. I mean, David, it was such a run for these guys, but we will be right back in a few talking to our top 3, Holden McGill, Merrick Watchhorn, and Colin Stone. Well, that was the finale of this first round of the playoffs to see the 16 drivers cut down to 10 here at Twin Ring Motegi. Holden McGill sweeping the stages and getting the win here tonight. But before we talk to the 21 in Victory Lane, we're going to talk to Colin Stone and also Merrick Watchorn. And first off, we'll talk to the 43 of Colin Stone. Colin, I mean, what a strategy call you kept on doing here tonight. You were one of the first drivers to pit on every single green flag stop and able to hold off for third place at the end here.
Yeah, I have zero practice on this track over the last 2 weeks because my AC's out at my house and I'm racing with no AC right now. So I really had to just screw around with the strategy, try and get something different there because I knew I wouldn't win on pace or do anything on pace actually.
Yeah, I mean, Colin, it certainly was a wild one here tonight. I mean, what was making you decide to pit so early? Was it because you were brutalizing those tires, or just why not throw out something different?
Why not throw out something different? In reality, I knew I couldn't really do much with pace, and I had no practice, and I know I'm into the top 10 regardless of if I showed up today. So I figured might as well just try and do something different.
And David, got any questions?
Man, I really liked the calls coming down, and it looked like it was going to pay off there for a little bit for you, and then McGill and Watchorn came back up through the field there to get you. You got to tell us how hard it was hanging on to that thing. It's a little bit different of a racetrack. Kind of looks like Darlington from above, but then it's real wide. Looking kind of like a Michigan or a California through the turns.
It was really loose. Trying to get on the power to hold them off was practically impossible. So I was just hoping that their tires would degrade really quickly by the time they got to me, but they obviously didn't.
Well, I mean,
good run, man.
Yeah, it really was. Colin, I mean, the floor is yours for any shout outs here.
Shout out to Tucson Solar Pros and Tucson Sound Art, both of my sponsors. And other than that, that's it. Thanks, guys.
And finishing in second place was that of Merrick Watchorn in the 91. Merrick, I mean, you showed that you had pace there early in these runs, but the tire wear kind of caught up to you late in these things. Was there anything else you possibly could have done in those last couple of laps?
Pushed the car a little bit harder. I saw that I still had some tread left on that right front, so I should have pushed it a little bit harder to chase down Holden, but once you got behind someone after about 10 laps, the car just got super duper tight, and you just had to hold it and just keep it just on the gas and use the throttle control to keep the car going in 1 and 2, and then kind of get on the brakes pretty hard going in 3 and 4.
Merrick, we're now going to be going to 2 short tracks and then 2 mile-and-a-halves. How does it feel going from this first round that was so dramatic to kind of a more calm, collective next round?
Hopefully, I can get my 3rd win and, maybe my 4th. We'll see what happens. I'm pretty good at short tracks, and mile-and-a-halves are just kind of toss-ups at this point. It's, usually who saves their tires the longest, so I'm hoping I can pull some strategy and do what I did tonight and keep that momentum going to the next 4 races for the next round.
Well, David, you got any questions?
Well, Merrick, I got to say, watching as a newbie of the series, hopping in and broadcasting tonight next to Sam, it's been enjoyable to watch you and Holden run out front. You got to tell us a little bit about the respect you guys have for each other out there tonight, because it looks like it's been a pretty competitive season through everybody all year. Nobody's really got a clear dominance. You with 2, and now Holden with 3 wins on the season. Got to tell us what it's like to race with these guys.
Everyone's really much of a class act. I mean, everyone's out there trying to race for a win and do everything they can. And, racing against my teammates, / team owner, I mean, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But, I'm glad that Holden won the win for Badger Racing. I just wish I could have pulled it in for him, but he pulled it in for both of us and the team and everything else. So, I mean, honestly, just with everybody and how everyone runs clean out there, I mean, we all are very tough racers, and, we did everything we can. I was actually more surprised that JJ was able to show up at the end there. I mean, with how bad he did in the first 2 stages, I was kind of happy that he came back up through the field and kind of was racing us towards the end to let us know that, hey, I'm still a factor too. So a lot of really tough competitors. Logan not having the greatest night either. I mean, between all 4 of us, I mean, Holden being the points leader, with me in 4th in the points. I'm hoping this jumps me up to about 2nd, maybe tying him for the next round because I know the points reset. So hopefully it does well and we can go forward from there.
Well, man, good luck in your championship chase. And you got anybody you'd like to thank sponsor-wise, man?
Yeah, I want to thank Twiggy, Watchword Innovations Group. I want to thank Capture the Occasion, really good friend of mine. Future Studios Incorporated, and also want to help shout out to Blue Ridge Auto Zone. Really cool bunch of guys, and just want to thank the admins and y'all for sponsoring and hosting us and showing off the talent we all have out here. And hopefully, I'll be the victory lane again. Twice in a row of finishing 2nd or close to 2nd, so I'm hoping I can show some more talent and get back up there and get in the winner's circle. So I have 3 wins, so I'm like holding the rest of them.
Merrick, I mean, what a run it was here tonight. Just came up a little bit short, but we all know you've got that pace to get a win here, and good luck next round.
Thanks, guys.
And in winner's circle, we've got Holden McGill. Holden, you dominated most of the night. How were you saving those tires so well late in that race?
To be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I was just trying to focus on being smooth on entry and exit, easy on the brakes, letting the car rotate on its own, and just try not to take more than it would give me, and it worked out pretty good.
Holden, you got 2 wins this round, and going into the next round, we're going to that of Rockingham, Bristol, Las Vegas, Homestead. Any of those 4 you're feeling pretty comfortable or feeling nervous about?
I feel fairly comfortable at all 4 of those tracks. I've actually raced on all of them compared to we had the one tonight where I'd never raced on this one before until this week. So I feel like I can do pretty well this round.
Well, Holden, it looked good out there tonight, man. You really showed what it took on the long runs. Early in that first run, it looked like it was all going to be the 91 Watchhorn there out front, and then you kind of just seemed to stalk him down, got to his rear bumper. You were entering one a little bit higher, coming down off of 2, and by the time you were about to make the move, it was time for pit stops. I was getting pretty stoked, but where do you feel you kind of had the advantage tonight on that number 91 machine?
Definitely on corner exit on both ends, but mainly out of 2. That was where I felt like I could get a run pretty easily. It's just whether I had enough of a run to make a move. So kind of took a lap or 2 to set it up. But I mean, I was trying to be nice and race good with him. I didn't see a point in pushing things too hard until the very end.
No doubt. Well, the floor is yours, man. Let us know if you got anybody out there you want to give a shout out to.
Just want to thank my teammates, even though a lot of them aren't here tonight. Hate to see them not here, but everybody's got lives outside of iRacing, so I get it. Thanks to Merrick, we brought him on, and he's helped me a lot in the last couple of weeks with preparation mainly. Thank you to the league sponsors, to the admins. Thank you to y'all for broadcasting it, and thank you to P2W Setups. Got them on the car now. Main and Tail, S2S, whatever the other sponsors are, I'm not even sure anymore.
Well, thank you, man. We appreciate it, and congrats on win number 3.
Thanks, guys. Hope for number 4 next week.
That's gonna, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Holden McGill winning once again. He has been so quick and consistent. He's been on top of the board points wise all season long, except for 1 week where he struck back and took it back after that. But tonight, Holden McGill gets the win, and David, it was such a fun time here tonight watching these guys attack a course that we hadn't really seen. The drivers really haven't touched that much, but it certainly was a different atmosphere on how Holden McGill just figured out this track 1 lap at a time. But before we finish out tonight, any final thoughts? And thanks for being up in the booth with me.
Well, just impressed with the L-TAC series, man. good luck to the competitors here moving on into the championship. It was an exciting race to watch, especially between McGill and Watchhorn there. Several points to the race running side by side, but just everybody's respect and the never give up attitude, especially with Logan Hamilton. Looking at his points situation, you never know. He could have got himself back into position there as he was battling at the end real hard. Just a lot of fun to watch these guys, and look forward to being a part of it once again, hopefully soon.
It was a blast working with you, David, as now we get ready for next week. It's the round of 10. Our 10 drivers in L-TAC moving on to the next round for battling for a championship. It's that of Holden McGill, Joseph, Logan Hamilton, Merrick Watchhorn, that of Grant Peterson, as well as Colin Stone, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Jeremy Berger, Sean Deal, and Stefan Purcell. Got enough points. He's moving on to the next round. And for tonight, thank you so much for being on LSRTV and watching the L-TAC Cup Series. For that of David Paulson, as well as Paulnese. I don't even know how to say your last name, David, anymore. I am
David Palenz. You're good, man.
I was on it for the first
never
half.
Talked about it. You did great.
And then it's myself, Sam Zier, and also Charles Wooten in the production chair. Thanks for joining us here tonight. L-TAC once again next week. We'll see you then.